We are recording. I get the opportunity of sharing with you some information. Now, I hope that this is coming across for you to see. Can everybody see the PowerPoint? Area Director and why?
Yes, I see it.
All right. Oh, yay, Rhoda's here too. Fantastic. Oh, Elaine's here. Yes, all my peeps, all my friends. My name is Carol Campbell. I am this year's Program Quality Director. And as that job entails, as Kay was mentioning, I get the opportunity to work on some training with the membership. I want to make sure that the membership is receiving information that will help them to move forward with their Toastmaster goals. It's not about me, it's about you and what you want to do. With that being said, a little intro on me. I sat in an education class for a whole school year plus, and the person that was in my group always volunteered to do our presentation, which just amazed me. I couldn't understand why he was willing to do that. Come to find out, he was a Toastmaster. Because he was a Toastmaster, he asked if I'd be interested. I brought that information home to my husband, and my husband had always wanted to be a Toastmaster, and I didn't know what one was. So with that being said, we went and visited a club, my home club, and had the opportunity of growing. Remember when I was talking about Kay's intro at the beginning and her husband, Mike Wilson? I was a brand new Toastmaster. Mike and Kay were both part of the club that I was in. And they were looking for officers. Mike looked at me and said, she's going to be our next president, which really worried me because I didn't know much about Toastmasters, but he had the faith in me. So with that being said, this picture that you see is the picture that was created in our directory that used to be created for District 33. In fact, our immediate past director is the one who put this directory together. This is the picture that I posted. My experience as an area director was I was all nice and comfy in my home club. Notice that box. Many of us get into a box and we don't allow ourselves to get out. We think, let's just stay here. It's comfy, it's cozy. I don't have to worry about too much. I know my club members. I know how things work, but things get a little stale. And you need to get out of your box. You need to expand your horizon. You need to allow yourself the opportunity to grow. Because if you think about a plant, if you put a plant in a planter and they start to grow, sometimes the planter is too small and it doesn't allow the bush to grow properly. That's the same way with the box. If you put yourself in there and you don't allow yourself to grow, you're going to run into problems. I was the area director for Area C2 back in 2011. Wow, that's a long time ago. In my area, I had a couple of clubs, 6 of them to be exact, opening doors, which I was pleased to be able to help charter, which is the Nevada State Bank. And so when Kay mentioned that, I got super excited because they're back up. We had my club, which is Toast to Sierra. We had Yucca Mountaineers, which is now Speakers and Leaders of Summerlin. We had Tierra del Sol, which was out at the prison. We had Say What, and we had Valley Voices and Vices. My first time going on an area director visit, I went to Valley Voices and Vices. Now, if any of you know about Valley Voices and Vices, and I know there's at least one person in here that's got a big smile on their face because they're a current member, they have a couple of past district directors in there. And I was scared. I'm thinking, oh, these are dignitaries. What if I do something wrong? What happens if it just doesn't work right? What if I say something or they ask me a question? What am I going to do? When I got in there, they treated me like royalty. It was absolutely fantastic. I was on the cloud and I didn't even know why. I think it goes back to the fact that they are people, that they want to make you feel good and they're there to support you. I managed to get my reports done and things went along fairly smoothly. I really, really enjoyed my area director year. I enjoyed it so much I moved on, but we're focusing on area director. What is an area director? We know that the most important person in Toastmasters is the member. Everything that administration of TI does is to support that member. The district and the club officers exist so that that Toastmaster receives the experience that they need to improve their public speaking and their leadership skills. The area director is the person at the district level who is most involved with the clubs. Now, think about this chain for a minute. This is a nice big logging chain. What would happen if one of those links broke? There would not be any connection in that chain. The area director is the link from the club to the district. It is super, super important that they are there to help and report. Now, the area director is not a manager. The role doesn't have the authority to impose any restrictions. It can't impose any restraints, and it has no power to enforce the rules in that way. The club is responsible for making sure that they are enforcing their own rules. The role of the area director is to support the club and give the club members the best possible experience. Now, we've had managers, we've all had managers that come in and just yap, 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 yap at us. We've had supervisors that shake their fingers at us. That's not what the area director does. The area director is a leader. They are the ones who are supposed to help the club and the club members to achieve their goals. Are they a guide? Of course they are. They need to make sure that they are presenting the information that each of the people in that club needs to hear. Now, sometimes this means pointing out what a club can do to improve. If a club is struggling with a member problem, the area director should have some suggestions on how to resolve it. And let's emphasize the word should and suggestions, because again, they are not to come in and take over that club. That is not their job. When you try to help a club, you want to help them with things that they are doing technically wrong. You don't want to come in and change up their club climate. You are their cheerleader. You are there to help them feel good. You are there to help them improve. And you are there to be a friend. You're not looking for a way to be a boss. You're not looking for a way to be the dominating ruler. That's not what you're there for. You want to help. The area director role is definitely a leadership role, but the primary task is reporting. So why do you want to be an area director? Let's talk about leadership. This isn't your average tell them what to do leadership experience. It's very much the opposite. This is a servant leadership. You're not here to lead, but to assist. That's a very different experience. It's a powerful leadership model and one that will build relationships. When you lead, you need to lead by example. I know Kay mentioned in her presentation about the golden rule. I think that would be very, very important. Don't go in and treat somebody the way that you don't want to be treated. That's not what this is about. You have all kinds of opportunities to help them, and we want them to grow and flourish. Building new skills. Learning these leadership skills in a safe environment makes the lessons less painful. You don't have to worry about your paycheck being deducted because you make a mistake. You may even want to try something that you wouldn't have tried at a regular job. You have to take the time to build your new skills. One of the skills that I learned was how to organize events. I had the privilege of organizing my parents' 50th wedding anniversary many years ago. This was shortly after I had done my area directorship. And my brothers all looked to me to say, you've been doing that Toastmaster stuff and you've organized some contests and you've helped clubs grow. Why don't you just take this whole anniversary party and do it? And I thought, that's not fair. Just because I have the skills doesn't mean I should have to do it. But then I thought, wait a minute. I have the skills. I learned them through Toastmasters. So why not help my brothers to learn how to organize an event? So we kind of worked on it together. We set up some tasks, we got some things done, and we moved forward. Whoops. Hit a wrong button. Now you're going to be given an opportunity to work on area director's reports when you become an area director. You get to do this twice. Those area director reports are a little bit long, but because you're learning skills and you're learning how to communicate clearly and concisely with your club, you don't have to worry so much about it going crazy. When you take on the area director role, you also take on a couple other tasks. You will take on the task of being the person to organize your area contest. And contests, that's one of the things that we will work on. You'll probably want to give back. I don't know of anybody who gets into leadership and that after their first while of being in leadership doesn't want to give back. You grow so much when you become an area director that you can't help but want to share that. And Kay also mentioned having somebody ask you or challenging you to become an area director. I know that there are people out there that have been asked to be area directors before and have said, yeah, it's not my time. But as soon as you say, I'm challenging you to be an area director because I see the potential in you, suddenly that changes things. There are people out there that the way that they move forward is by accepting the invitation from somebody to take that on as a role. What are the qualifications to be an area director? First of all, they ask that you have been a member of the district council. What's the district council? Many of us may wonder. That is where you have your area directors, your division directors, all your upper district leadership, and you include the vice president of education and the presidents of each of the clubs. If you are filling the role of president or vice president of education, you are starting to see some of the inside roots to how leadership in Toastmasters works. Being a member in good standing, that means that you need to pay your club dues. If you don't pay your club dues, then you're not going to be able to have access to the TI website. You have to be able to have access to the TI website as an area director because that gives you resources that you can use to help your clubs to succeed. Now, notice that it says appointed by the district director. The term for an area director is one Toastmaster year. It's from July 1st to June 30th. There are other districts out there that there is such a demand to get into leadership that the area directors are voted on. Our district, they are appointed. And that way we can get the people into the positions and help them to move forward and grow their skills. All right, responsibilities. What kind of whoops, I did it again. What kind of responsibilities do we have? As an area director, it's really, really important that we as the new area director get the training that we need. Nobody expects you to know exactly what has to happen right off the bat. Typically, there is a training in July to start the area directors off on the correct foot and help them to feel a little bit more at ease. We don't want them to go out there and feel like they're running around like a chicken with their head cut off with no assistance and no resources. There are resources that TI puts out. There are trainings that the district holds that we look forward to making sure that the area directors have access to. Visits and reports. Now, this is one of those things. Kay mentioned that for area director, there are 2 visits required, which is true. However, if you only do 2 visits, do you think that you are being the true servant leader that that club needs? Are you being a resource for that club? Are you helping that club? We recommend that you have at least 6 visits that are inspirational, that are motivational, that actually allow the club and the club officers to get to know you. If you're just showing up once a half a year, they're not going to feel like they can trust you. You need to be the person that they can trust. And like I mentioned before, there is an area director's report that needs to be filled out on the TI website twice a year. So you do an official visit, and this visit actually sets you up for filling out this report. It gives you the opportunity to look at it in advance so that you know what type of questions to ask. What type of questions are there? Well, you could ask, did you feel comfortable? Did the club welcome you? Did the club welcome other guests? Are they using Toastmasters agendas? And are they using the branding properly? Are they allowing people to move forward? Do they have an idea of what they plan to do for their DCP? DCP, Distinguished Club Program, in case I'm using acronyms that people are unfamiliar with. That DCP, you're going to fill out on the report who the club has thought about putting in place. There are plans out there. Hopefully your club has thought about the club plan. There's an area plan, and there's a division plan, and there's a district plan. That way you can look at where you want to go. You can set up a roadmap on how you plan to be successful. You spend some time working on these reports, you get them submitted, and those reports, they not only go into Toastmasters International, but it goes back to the club president, and it goes to the trio. It allows the district an insight to what is happening with the club. That you are the eyes and ears for the district. Area contests. Well, what do we have in an area contest? Back when I was an area director, we had a fall contest and we had a spring contest. Toastmasters International has changed it to where we now only have spring. But it is one of those things that allowing yourself the opportunity to work on these contests, to develop all of the pieces that go together to make a good contest, you will appreciate those skills tremendously. Now, council meetings. Hopefully in your club, you have executive council meetings. All of your board gets together, all of your officers get together and they talk. When you become an area director, you like to have council meetings so that the clubs in your area have the opportunity to talk to one another. You kind of bring them together. They don't have to be out there by themselves. They're not lost. They're not worried. They have resources because they know other club presidents, other vice presidents of education, etc. There are division council meetings where the division director gets together with the area director, and then there are district council meetings. There are council meetings, but all of those are to help bring the district together. And again, the ultimate goal is to make sure that the member is receiving what they need to receive. All right. Now, some of you are thinking, this is too good to be true. There's got to be a hang up here someplace. Well, there are some common challenges. Oftentimes, new area directors, when they get in and they start thinking about being in this new role and being a servant leader, they get a little nervous. Now, I can appreciate that because I have been a little bit nervous. And that's okay. If you're a little nervous, it means that you're taking it seriously. You want to do a good job, and you're wanting to do a good job not only for yourself, but you're wanting to do a good job for your clubs. Another challenge that often comes up is volunteers. How do I get my volunteers? Kay mentioned that there's an army behind people, and there truly is. One of the things that you have to do is you have to learn to delegate. Sometimes you have to stand back and ask somebody for help and move forward. If you don't ask, there are people out there that are just waiting for that question to come through. Hey, can you help me out with this? And a lot of the help that most area directors need is for their club content. They need to find people to fill all those roles. Now, this year is very unique because the club contests are online. So some of the roles that we would normally be looking for aren't as prevalent. You have personality conflicts that occasionally show up. I am very much a to-do list person. My husband, on the other hand, is not, and he laughs about it because I always write my to-do list. So that may be a personality conflict that could show up. If you're working on your contests and you're in person next year, what are you going to do about food? Well, I want to have cheese and crackers. And you ask somebody to help you be your contest chair, and they want to have sandwiches and chips. It's okay to have the conflict as long as you're willing to stop and talk through it. Don't run around like that toddler and go, la, 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 I'm not listening to you. There are scheduling conflicts. I know that we have clubs that meet every single day of the week. Therefore, when we schedule these events, there are people that have scheduling conflicts. We do what we can, and we have to move forward. Details. There are some people that get caught up in the details, and I can be one of them. I think I am learning, and I hope that Kristen and Kay and Steve and Jesse can back me up, that I'm letting go of some of those details and I'm not getting caught up so much in the itty bitty, but I'm seeing the bigger picture and allowing that to move forward. And location. Sometimes location can be a challenge, trying to find a location. When we go back to in-person, finding a location that doesn't charge us a whole bunch of money is going to be important. You're going to want to make sure that you can move forward and that you have the chance to make that happen. Another challenge as an area director is building relationships. This is where you need to make sure that you're opening your heart. It's okay to have opinions, but you need to allow yourself to look at the club leaders, and some of them could be brand new Toastmasters, and they could be floundering and not sure what it is that they're supposed to be doing. You want to make them comfortable. You want to build that relationship. You want to meet with them regularly. So when they see you, they feel confident in sharing with you maybe some issues. You want to gain interest. You want to make sure that the clubs are in it for the members. If they are not there helping their membership, then we have to do something about it. We have to help them determine what it is that best works for their member. All right. Now you're wondering, where am I going to get help? How is this going to happen? As an area director, your first line of help should be your district director. You always need to set up a relationship with your district director, your division director, so that they hopefully have already been through the area director and they can share with you what they did, how they did it, and how they can help you move forward. You have current district leaders. That means you're going further up the chain. You're looking at all kinds of different people. We have lots of committees, and on those committees are people who have been in your roles before. We don't want you to feel like you don't have any way or any chance of sharing. Past district leaders. There are a lot of people out there that are just waiting for you to ask. They're sitting there, they know that you need the help, but they're waiting for you to ask, because when you ask, they know you're serious about accepting the help that they're willing to give. We have awesome past district leaders in our district. We have people out there that will bend over backwards, that I like to say we have pocket people out there. You've got those one or two people that if things are going sideways, you can always call on, and they say, yep, I'd be glad to. Most of the past distinguished Toastmasters are willing to help. Whether you have those in your clubs, whether you create friendships with them as you've stepped outside of your box, it's okay for you to be able to work on asking for help. And again, hopefully you have a mentor. It is so much easier to create a successful plan and a successful year when you have a mentor. You have somebody that you can bounce ideas off of. You have somebody that you can cry with if you need. You have somebody that's going to boost you up when you think you've done something wrong. You have somebody there cheering you along. Getting a mentor, whether it's in leadership or whether it's just in moving forward, is always an important task. I'm going to stop sharing right now because I would like Jason LeDuc to share with us a little bit about his year as an area director.
Thank you, Carol. I think you have hit most of the important nuts and bolts lessons that I learned as an area director, some of which I learned the hard way, even though my division director and district leadership tried to get them across to me. If I can boil it down to just a couple things, I found that as an area director, the most successful way to cultivate the relationship with the club officers and the clubs was to take that responsibility on for myself. And that was a lesson I wish I had learned earlier in the year. Those relationships are probably not going to develop automatically. And if you rely on your club officers to cultivate that relationship with you, it's probably not going to happen because the club officers are rightly so working on their clubs. Another in no particular order, just like the members the most important of the club, and that's who we're always thinking about at the district leadership level, the club is the most important level of leadership in all of Toastmasters. And so as area directors, division directors, even district leadership, we all need to be focused on what can we provide in terms of tools, resources, or advice on how to help the club leaders develop the goals and the strategy and the path they need to achieve those goals. Because as an area director, especially if you've got club leaders who are new at it, you're probably going to need to help them even understand why it's important to have goals for the year, and then help them develop the path to get there. And then throughout the year, through that relationship you've developed with them, say to them, how do we know you're going to be able to meet those goals? What are the action steps you're taking? How do we know they're going to work? How do I know, or how do we know, is one of the best questions you can ask yourself when it comes as an area director, when it comes to, are your clubs successful, and are they taking the steps they need to do to be successful? The third thing, don't just cultivate relationships with your clubs and your club officers. Cultivate relationships with the other area directors in your division, the other area directors across the district, and all of the division directors, as well as the district leadership. And get out and visit some clubs that aren't in your area. As Carol mentioned, there's a lot of former district officers, former district leaders who have served their time in these very important roles, but are still looking for ways to give back. I know club coaches is something that a lot of clubs in the area are looking for, or in the district are looking for this year. I think there's some rich, untapped veins of folks if we would just go ask them to be club coaches for the clubs who need. So that's just a very specific example, but develop those relationships, because when it comes to contest time, when it comes to when you really need someone to come help out with some experience, help one of your clubs or help with something in your area, that untapped potential that's just waiting to be asked is out there. So those are the three things I really came away with, and wish I had learned those lessons earlier in the year last year.
Thank you, Jason. We are at the point where I would like to ask for questions. I want you to feel comfortable enough asking anything that you think you need to know about being an area director. And again, like I said, we have some area directors on the call that are currently serving this year in a very unique situation that they will be able to claim fame on helping our district be successful during a pandemic. What kind of questions do you have for me? How many area directors do we need? We currently, if we stay where we currently are, we will need 16 area directors. Right now, we have 4 area directors per division, and we have 4 divisions. Where do I sign up? I'm glad you asked, Rhoda. At the end of this, there is an email, and it's D. George Lund's email, and I'll show that. He is the district leader committee chairman, and he will be setting things up to do some interviews with candidates to make sure that they have the opportunity to express all of their strengths and ask questions and move forward in that sense. So I will get that email up when we get a little bit closer. Maria.
Yes, I have a question. Will it be possible to create a group on Facebook for the area directors for us to communicate with each other? To like post events and see how other ones are doing their job, and that will be supportive and helpful, giving us ideas on how we can do it better?
We could do Facebook. I know that there are a couple other arenas that might be helpful, like Slack and different things in that fashion, so that you can get the opportunity to exchange information. all of you that are current area directors should have a list of all of the other area directors' emails and phone numbers. Do you have that? You can always reach out to them and figure out how you would like to set that up. Maria, if you are truly interested in setting that up, I bet you that we could probably talk our PRM into helping get some things set up as far as Facebook is concerned, because Facebook is not a strength of mine and it is for her.
Well,
I have to learn to delegate.
Yeah, I can create the page. So what I need is be able to invite everybody, because some of the area directors are now my friends. So the easiest way to connect is while you're on the phone, you're getting these notifications from the groups. And I want to be able to post events from my clubs and the clubs I belong, so people are interested. It's an easy way where we can connect at a smaller group, but also achieve more together, because what you do inspires another. And the only way we can share what we're doing is by others, allowing others to see it and allowing others to participate. So I do a lot of promoting. And what I've been learning is that when you allow people to share, those are pages that have a lot of engagement. So when you allow people to share, the page just engages more, because people is constantly looking to see who commented and who posted anything new. So if anything happens with an event that we need to share, it's easier to share it from that page. If anyone is interested in a training that we missed and someone else has it, I just find it very easy, because Facebook, most of us have, and most of us know how to use it since we're already there constantly. I think it's a good way to do a smaller group for us that could be very productive.
I love that idea. And again, I'm going to put the disclaimer out there that not everybody in our district is on Facebook, because I am on Facebook, but I'm not on Facebook, if that makes sense. I don't have, my time frame is limited to how much time I can spend on Facebook. So I have to be aware that there could be things out there that I don't see that I'm missing opportunities to. But yes, we will figure out a way to get you connected with all the other area directors and see what we can do to make that happen. There was something about the question, can you do the area director job again? And the answer is yes. We have 2 current area directors that have graciously given of their time to be area directors again this year. And we appreciate them for stepping up in that form.
Carol, I just want to say that for people who is worried or are not, necessarily comfortable with Facebook, we can make the group private. Mm-hmm. So no one else has access to it, only us, and no one can get into our information. And that will be a way of keeping it confidential. So the group can be private. It won't be accessible for everybody. And the people who will be sharing will be only us.
Well, it looks like Division A has set up a group text that's been working well. We may want to consider setting up a group text for the division and area directors also, if that might work. In addition, I don't know. Technology is not my biggest strength. I have learned tremendously with us having gone into this pandemic. And I'm glad that there are people out there that can continue to help me in that. So it looks like Division E set one up for them to talk about last year. What's Up app, that was the other one that I was going to mention, is Jennifer mentions the What's Up app is a great way to share information also if you want to do something different than Facebook. What other questions do we have? This has been great. I'm hearing crickets.
Oh, Carol, I believe you probably, there was a few chats, so you might have missed it. I believe Elaine wanted a repeat of what the requirements were, because she had a few people she wanted to approach. I believe it was that you had to have been a president or VPE of a club, and you had to be a current member, were the main requirements.
Yes. Elaine's got her thumbs up. She's excited because she's going out to look for her replacement.
Yes, absolutely. And you guys, I am the district director, and I like to say I'm an accidental leader, because I say I got duped into this leadership thing, but I say that jokingly. It's sort of true, but I've enjoyed the leadership journey, but honestly, area director was my absolute favorite. It's the one that I just realized I'm not on video. It is the one that I would and might actually someday repeat, because I really, really enjoyed it. And it's where I feel like the most difference, because it's the one where you actually have that one-on-one relationship. At this level of leadership, there's so many moving parts, and you're delegating, and there's so much going on. You kind of miss that direct connection with the members. So I think it's a really awesome position. And even if you've done it again, if you're in your first year, if you're in your 27th year in Toastmasters, it doesn't matter. You have an experience, you have a voice, you have something you can give to the clubs, and just go for it. Just do it. It's an awesome experience. That's just my 2 cents.
Yes, I am in agreement with you, Christian. I do like the position of being an area director. However, I cannot put the time into it that I need to, because I'm working 4 to 12, and most of the meetings are during that time period. So I'm either going to suffer a disciplinary procedure by pulling them up on my phone, or call off, and then that will be an excessive amount of call-offs. And at this point, I can't afford to do that. But I do see potential in my club, Nubian Voices. I see 3 people right off the top of my head that would be, I feel, great area directors. And even if I do continue as an area director, I still believe that they would be just as good or better than myself as an area director. So I'm going to try to get them into that direction.
Absolutely. And, Carol mentioned, there are two required visits per year. And we mentioned, Dan Rex likes to say 6 meaningful interactions with a club. Now, that doesn't have to mean attending their meetings. It could mean attending a special event with them. It could mean sitting with them at a TLI, if we ever have a TLI in person. It could mean any number of things. So, when I was area director, I had 2 of my 4 clubs met at lunchtime, and I worked full time. So I only visited those clubs officially twice. However, I did attend a couple of their events, and I had coffee chats on Saturday mornings. So I was able to meet with them on those Saturday mornings. So that was my way of having meaningful interactions with them without being able to attend all of their meetings. And then my evening clubs, I did attend their meetings. So there's ways to work around it. Now, if all of their meetings happen while you're at work, and sometimes that becomes a problem, but don't let a work schedule necessarily be a hindrance. Try to think of ways that you can work around that. As long as you can work in your 2 visits a year and find other ways to have those meaningful interactions with them, it still might be something that you can work out. So see if that's something you can figure out.
I was one of those area directors that visited often the clubs, because I just like Toastmasters in general, and always learned a lot, and always felt part of their groups, rather than, you don't go in as you said, Carol, as a dictator. I was part of the group. So I always felt like I belonged to more clubs than I really belonged to. And it was really a lot of fun, because I did make a lot of personal connections and had established some really good relationships with everyone. And I liked everyone, and I think they liked me, but it was really a learning experience and I enjoyed it. I really would like to do it again, not this year. I'm trying to maybe do something different in, what is it, February, March, April, something like that. But possibly the next term after that, I'd do it again because it was just a lot of fun. That's all.
Thank you all.
One other thing too. And there's nothing to say that you can't, if a new person is going in as an area director and they feel all kerflumped or whatever, if that's a word, have someone go with you have another DTM go with you and mentor you in that aspect of it and visit with you once or twice. That's not uncalled for, or that's not frowned upon. That's not frowned upon. I think that's what I want to say. Thank you.
Yeah, area directors, you have a division director who I'm sure would be more than happy to go with you to club meetings if that's something you're nervous about. And if your division director is unavailable, I'm happy to go with you.
Like I said, it goes back to those resources. We have lots of resources out there. You just need to ask. There are people willing to help. We've got that army behind us to help us be successful. Here is the last slide that I wanted to point out to you. Now, I happen to be fond of our military, and I'm back in the old school with Uncle Sam, but District 115 really does want you. We need you. You are important. We would love for you to come share with us your talents and your skills, and we would love to help you with your growth. If you are interested in being an area director for next year, please reach out to George Lund. Here is his email. He is in charge of our leadership committee that will be doing the interviews and making sure that everybody gets what they need and the requirements are met. I appreciate your time so much. I am going to stop the recording for this session.